Welcome to the Invisible Marketer Podcast. I'm your host, Kalina. In this episode, I sit down with Michael Barlow. Just like many of us, Michael wears many hats. He's an expert marketer by day. He's also a dedicated father and husband, and somehow he manages to balance all of that while still being an entrepreneur who's running his business. In this episode, Michael talks about his journey and his passion that he has for men's mental health, but he also shares an amazing strategy for how he is able to juggle all of that. If you would like to access today's show notes and find out where you can go to follow Michael on his journey, head on over to invisiblemarketer.com/Michael. Let's dive on in.
I've really enjoyed watching you on TikTok, and I can see it growing. I can see the more videos you're posting, the more likes you're getting, the more attention you're getting. So it's definitely growing.
Let's talk about the purpose behind your business and those videos.
Yeah, so at least right now I'm calling it the Men's Support Network. And what that really is a community where men can come to a safe place where they can have conversations, share real struggles, real feelings, and look for a community that can both. Sometimes you just need to be seen and heard. Sometimes you don't even need a ton of advice, but you need someone to share. And men especially struggle to create connections and create friendships where they feel safe to share real things other than like their favorite football team or their favorite sport. And so I'm trying to just start the conversation. And it is an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of men to even go there, but it's really necessary for a lot of men as well. I can't say for all men, everyone needs different things, but for a lot of people, they need a safe place to gather. My goal is to provide tools to just get the conversation started. And so sharing my favorite tools, my favorite resources, getting guest experts to come on and share their expertise. It's really important for me to not replace therapy or any mental health service. I am trying to get the conversation started for people that probably otherwise would not start the conversation in a safe, accessible place. And if they need those services, I'm all for them. I've been really blessed by therapy, and a lot of my family members have been blessed by mental health services. I am not trying to replace those, but just get the conversation started, if that makes sense.
I know I watch your videos and I've sent it to my boyfriend. It appeals to us two women, but we can also send it to the men in our lives to where we can say, hey, you see this? You need to be more like this, because your range of topics and feelings that you put in your TikTok videos is just great. It really is.
I appreciate that. It's been hard for me, but I've tried to embrace the vulnerability because I feel like without being authentic, the message doesn't feel that real. And even sometimes over polished efforts feel less real. And so I try to share from my heart and the real things that have helped me or helped my friends that I've seen. So it's not like you have to do this. Is just something that's helped me a lot, and I want you to consider it. But you are right. Most of my followers are women. Most of my likes are women. And I think at the start that may just be the case because that's often the demographic of person, the type of person that is ready to listen and have these kind of conversations. But if they share with their husbands that may not be on social media at all, be like, hey, I think you should just go give us a try. You should look at this. That honestly may be where my first batch of people into it come from, outside of people I know locally that are excited about it.
For sure. And women make the final decision, right? We make that decision. In some cases, men are just like, honey, what do you think? So at least if you get their approval first and they're the ones making the referral to you, then you're good to go. That would be good. They've trust you. They've seen your content. So now they can just show their husband or the men in their lives.
Yeah, and most topics that I share, I can't even say most, I'd say all are applicable for both women and men. I think the reason I want to focus on men is men are the leaders in all of mental health's negative statistics, all the dark, sad statistics. Men are at the top of that. And for me, that's a huge indicator that something's got to change. And I do think men would be way less prone to be open and vulnerable if there were an enormous amount of women in there. I think they'd be scared of getting shamed or not being understood. And so that's why I'm trying to create a men's safe space, even though it's applicable for everyone.
I've just been really inspired and amazed at all the content, and it's really hit home. Every single video, I know this is going to be good every time I see your videos. So I'm really enjoying it, and I hope you keep going with that.
Yeah, the thing I'm working on is not sounding so monotone. I can be so happy and joking and bubbly in person. When I create those videos, I will always watch them back. I'm like, this is a great message, but why do I look so sad or angry? Maybe that's an introvert issue I'm working with. I have a hard time smiling or being my normal self because I'm like, I've got to deliver this perfect.
Maybe that helps others to relate to it. It sounds vulnerable to me, even though it's monotone. I feel like it sounds vulnerable. And if they can tell that you are an introvert, I know from my story and telling my story and just being vulnerable like that, people reach out and say, you inspire me. You've helped me to get out there and do this. That's one of our strengths as an introvert, is that we can be vulnerable. And it's not as hard as it is for some people to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I know that you are an introvert. Now, what are some of the challenges that you have faced either in your business life, personal life, or as you're growing your personal brand now?
The primary one I think of right away, and it's all walks of life, business, personal life, my own ventures, is that I struggle to believe that my voice is really important, because there's other personalities that like to speak first and speak the loudest and argue with an awful lot of passion. And so something I've had to balance for most of my professional life is I have a differing opinion. How important is it to share right now? Because sometimes I'm the last to speak, or I'm the last to input, or things of that nature. And the way I have overcome it is honestly just a lot of personal work, just trusting myself. I do have expertise. I have an awful lot of experience in this category. So just because they're A-type red personality that wants to be loud and wants to be right, is willing to argue if it's a situation that matters, then it's important to get your voice out there. And even if you need to make it a private conversation with the louder person, a lot of times those personalities are really scared to be embarrassed in public. They need to be right in public. And sometimes you can even just pull them aside, have a one-on-one conversation and be like, hey, I totally get where you're coming from. And I think you have a really good intent. The risks of what you are suggesting are the following. And then there's they appreciate that you came one-on-one, because their public image or reputation, whether they're a leader or boss or manager, isn't in jeopardy. And then that also works in friendships with those type of personalities. A lot of times they want to be the entertainer, they want to be the charismatic person. And so beyond you disagreeing with them, they feel like it's a personal attack, whether it is or isn't. And so if you can meet them one-on-one and be like, hey, I understand why you handled the situation this way, or I understand why you shared my personal story because you thought it was funny. Sometimes they can hurt you, and it's good to just pull them one-on-one. I feel like I've always been appreciated, respected, and a lot of times had more positive result understanding people instead of being triggered now, understanding I'm an introvert and I struggle to speak first. And there's other people that really want to be seen as the charismatic leader. And instead of judging them for that, saying, that's not right, that's not an okay way to be, I wish they weren't that guy, just being mad about it at my desk or in my personal life, being like, I can have compassion for their experience and their life, and this is a way that our two worlds can meet and create a positive result together. I hope that makes sense. I was long-winded. Absolutely. Does that make sense?
No, it absolutely does, because I feel the same way. I'm like, just let them have their 15 minutes of fame if they want it. And
yeah, they care more, just give it to them.
Yeah,
they obviously care more. Yeah.
Because I don't really care about that. It's more of a different thing. And if I am 100% passionate about something, then maybe I will not really speak up, but I'll find a different platform. So I'm not competing against them. I definitely get it, because I want to be supportive of them, even if they are extroverts and they're bubbly, and I'll still be supportive.
Yeah. And I guess what comes to mind for me too is I do think that one-on-one is really important. I think sometimes people cower behind systems, and I'm not trying to sound that in a mean way, but at least in the business world, sometimes people just go straight to HR, where you could probably just go talk with your manager. So I'm like, are you going to HR because it's an injustice or because you're actually scared to have the conversation? I think you need to weigh that in your mind. And I'm not trying to say anything's right or wrong. There's so many situations in this world. But for me personally, I'm like, do I want to go because I'm scared to have that one-on-one? And then I have to muster up that introverted courage and be like, you know what? I'm going to go have that one-on-one. I think that would mean more. And usually it does mean more. Like, they'd much rather hear from you with your passion passion with the way you want to say it rather than you telling HR. And then HR goes and tells them the watered down version of your passion and says, and you hurt their feelings. Or they add some emotion that maybe you didn't convey. They're like, it just felt like you hurt so-and-so's feelings. And then all of a sudden you've created a mess.
When I was doing research, now I went through ChatGPT. I was trying to do the unpopular opinion. And one of those was that being an introvert is a superpower in itself. There's no way that's true. How can there be anything good about being an introvert? So I posted that written post on Facebook. People were commenting, and some of them were like, there's nothing positive about it. So I went over to ChatGPT and I said, give me 10 positive things about being an introvert. And I learned 10 new things of why being an introvert is not so bad. And one of those was being a one-on-one intimate setting. You thrive in that. I feel like one-on-one is a great strength to have and to utilize as an introvert.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It's been a huge benefit for me to adopt that strategy instead of being too shy to bring it up. It's important, and it's important to me. Then I need to find a healthy way to share it. But yeah.
I don't know if that was easy for you or not, but honestly, I love it that you brought some really great points, because my main goal is to empower introverts to find those little things that you can do to help you get your message out there. Let's talk about, as a dad, you have a family, you have a job, you have a business, and you're posting on social media frequently. How do you balance your professional, your business, and all of that? What are some of the strategies that you use to balance that?
Yeah, that is one of, I could say, strengths and weaknesses for me. But the way I see it is I need to still have priorities. It's really important to have priorities in place. And for me, one of my biggest values is I believe in giving my employer like the honest version of myself. It's become a popular conversation with younger generations to be like, oh, I only give them what they require, and then all the rest of the time is for me. And I think that's a dangerous way of thinking. Personally, I'm not trying to judge anyone's way of doing. Honesty is huge for me. I want to give them honest time. I want to give them my honest talents, my honest skills. And so that means I'm done by 5 o'clock. I have a long commute. I get home. And then who's my priority now? My wife and kids. My kids, if I get home at 6, they're going to bed in just about 2 and a little hours. And what I have learned more than anything from my therapy studies, books I've read, is that childhood's super duper matters. It matters more than a lot of people credit it for. What they experience, how they interpret the world, how they interpret how important they are even to their parent, how they problem solve, how they play, how they feel like is acceptable to play, is all learned in childhood. And a lot of times, whether it's conscious or subconsciously, that carries with them to adult life. And so if you've given them challenges by the way you raise them or the environment you create them, it's likely a challenge they'll still be facing, struggling with, and need to improve from as an adult. And I'm not trying to overstress parents. Sometimes thinking about that weight stresses me, but I need to prioritize my kids. So I make sure that I play with them. I make sure we have positive experiences with them. And even if they want to tell me stories in a very long-winded way where part of me is, I don't know if I can keep listening with a lot of attention. There's a big part of me that's, but I have to. This is how they're expressing themselves in the world, and what they say matters. So I need to make sure they know that they matter, that their experiences matter, and that I care about them an awful lot. And then I need to prioritize my wife. I think it's one of the risks of entrepreneurship is they start ditching things because they're like, for the money. When I do this for us, life will be better. And so I can skip the basketball games. I can skip the movie nights. I can skip all of that because you'll love it when we're making $500,000. And I don't crazy believe that, because they need to come on the journey with you. And so what I have done is I've made my wife part of my journey. And so if I can be honest and be like, hey, I really want to need to get some work done on my business or my website or my offers tonight, but I would love your help. I know you don't want to build the website, but can you come be an eye on it and see if you like the way things are worded? Or if I'm doing social media, this is the message I'm planning on sharing. Do you have extra thoughts about that? Just including them, letting them be part of your journey, I think has been paramount for me and my wife, because what it could look like is at 8 o'clock, honey, I'm going downstairs, I'm working on my business. And then she stays upstairs. And then over time, do we become disconnected? Probably to a degree. So she's really busy in her things and I'm really busy in my things. And we do our best to include each other in them, and not just parenting, like the stuff we're personally working on. But then, yeah, it's tricky. So if I've been a really good dad, a really good husband, then maybe it's 9 o'clock And so I've gotten 9 to 11 to do stuff. And that is a challenge, but it's at least for me right now, people likely disagree with me, or I feel like those are like non-negotiables for me. I got to be honest at work. I've got to prioritize my kids and I've got to prioritize my wife because those are what matter the most, regardless of how much money I make or success comes my way because of my efforts. Those are the people I need in my corner, and I'm not willing to risk failing with. I don't know if I answered prioritizing how I balance well, but for me, I just prioritize. Unmarried and kidless entrepreneurs probably say that's you not controlling your calendar. Sometimes I take it personally, like they're making a judgment about me. That's the thing. They don't know what this is like. They are not married. They don't have kids. And so controlling their own time is a far easier conversation for them than it is for me. And I can be okay with that. I don't have to be upset about their advice that I don't think applies to me. It's just different life stages.
That was great because you're right. If you keep building your business without your partner, you're right about there being a disconnect. Now, that happened to me so in the past, but it can lead to marriages breaking apart and things like that. So I definitely think it's great that you do. And I hope you, and I know you will, because I know you, but you'll keep going and you'll keep prioritizing. I do think that's very important because what
Yeah.
gets all that if you don't have the relationships and your family. To me, God family is more important than anything. Do you think that one day there will be to where you could walk away from your job?
That's the goal of entrepreneurship. Yeah, I would love to build something to where I am, and then I could give more to this passion of men's support. I'd love to do more calls. I'd love to do offers at various times of day because I think my offer set will, by nature, have to be limited when I begin. And it may even be a struggle for time zones. If I do like an 8 p.m. something that works for Mountain and Pacific, it doesn't work for Eastern. You know what I mean? So even just that, I don't love that. And I'd love to be able to give more. And so that's where I am hoping that I can offer things well enough that are valuable enough that they grow to a point where I could really focus on this. Because one of my big things is I want to be proud of what I've accomplished. And I'm not judging anyone's journey, but I struggle personally to identify that with someone else. You know, like I don't know if I could end my life and be like, I grew this person's company so good. I don't know if I would feel that good. I feel like God has given me gifts and talents and skills that I need to share with the world. And I can do that in a small way today, but the scope that I envision is much larger than just a small way here and there. And not everyone needs to feel that way, but I definitely feel that way. I just don't know if I could retire proud being like, I really crushed it for someone else. So, of course I will while I work for them. That's the honesty part in me. But that's not how I want to end the story, is what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get that. I'm working 10-hour shifts every day and I have a son and everything. And it gets sometimes hard with the commitments that I've made. And at least I get 3 days off. So that's one thing that I told them. I was like, if I'm taking this position that I was just transferred to, I have to have 3 days off so that I can make sure that I'm taking care of doctor's appointments one day, business one day, and then just family stuff one day.
That's awesome. That's an awesome way you found to balance it.
It's hard with marketing because you work in marketing as your day job and you're really great at it. You're an expert, Mark. Is the mindset different from when you're doing something for someone else versus what you do for yourself? Do you have a different mindset when it comes to marketing? Because if you're marketing someone else's product, you know exactly what the offer is, you know what they're selling. You probably know a lot about that product, right?
Yeah. For me, it is different. And I honestly think maybe being too vulnerable, it's like my stuff. I have a hard time believing in my own message. Like my self-doubt creeps up so fast. Like I can start creating a message and be like, who cares? Why would I not send them to so-and-so? Why would I not just point them this direction? Who is going to care about this? But then at the same time, my big heart, there's a part of me when I hear people's message where I instantly, since I do work marketing, I'm like, I know how they could crush it. I know what could flip the switch for them. I have this drive where I want to just jump out and be like, hey, man, we could get you started tomorrow. I love your message. You do have something unique, especially the people that I see struggling that I know have something special and they know have something unique. And it's way easier for me to jump out and be like, hey, I've got some proven formulas that have worked really well for me in other spaces, and I want to apply them to your business. Let's just try to plug them in. Like pretty low cost. You don't even have to pay me. I'm just so excited excited about seeing if this works for you because I see you're struggling. But somehow I don't give that to myself, like not even the passion. And so that's something I'm working on. There's several parts I feel about this. A whole nother part of this is sometimes I'm tired of marketing at the end of the day. Sometimes I go to work, I build landing pages and 2 weeks worth of social, and then I get home and I'm like, I don't want to do that for me. That's all I've been doing all day. Can't I freshen up my life? And so that's honestly like my big pivot, as I was trying to talk about marketing and I was trying to do those efforts personally, and I just didn't have any passion. But with men's overall wellness, with a lean towards mental health, I have like unlimited passion. And that's what I want to talk about after work. And that's what I want to do. And so I'm like, while I am working this 9 to 5, I need something that I can be passionate about after work. So maybe at a future spot in my career, I can do marketing help or be like a small end marketing agency where I just help them. I don't know if I want to get into the game of employing other people and teaching them my practices and scaling, but I'm like, maybe just as a part of my efforts, passions, and skills, and not going to waste instead of just using them for me. Maybe that's something I can add later, but it was really hard for me to add marketing centric stuff to myself right now. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. So something that comes to mind is Russell Brunson did a talk on Secrets of Success, the podcast. And he was talking about resistance and how we're being like put in this direction and we keep resisting it. But I know how good you are at men's health. So if you feel that passion towards marketing, and I know how great and how passionate you are about that, I wonder if there's a way to maybe tie it together somehow. But I feel like if that keeps like popping into your head, and maybe that is God like leading you in the direction, but I don't know, maybe there is a plan or something in the future where those are going to fuse together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, I know this may sound silly, it's easier for me rather than just teaching marketing like I was trying to do in the past, applying my marketing skills to the men's support network. Because I haven't fully launched, I haven't put a lot of efforts in place. I'm just trying to start the conversation really with social media, get that started. As soon as I've got my community built in school, then that'll be like my main focus. I'll still try to always give value, always give resources, then be like, and if this is a conversation you'd like to continue on, I've got a men's support network. And start building that community even before I make a ton of offers. And that I'll be excited about because it's something I'm so passionate about. It's just like teaching marketing, being like, hey, this is how you fix your marketing. Just generally, that was a conversation really hard for me to have passion about after work. And then I've even thought down the road, say in my wildest dreams, the men's support network is huge. So many men are getting helped. One of the primary stresses is finances. So it'd be really cool to not just always be about feelings and resources and stuff like that, but hey, if you're considering launching a business, here's some of the biggest things that have helped me and have on the side this marketing course. I think those same men would be like, I already know that I like this message. I like this guy. I like this community. I've thought about adding that in the future. I think it'd be awkward to add it at first, but I do think down the road, I can fulfill that part of me that wants to help people with their marketing and with their businesses without feeling like that's all I do 24 hours a day. But yeah.
I hope one day you do because I can see that you have both of them, but I do love your videos, so I hope they keep coming because I'm learning from them. Let's talk about where could people find you if they wanted to watch these amazing videos or follow you on social media?
Yeah, so right now I'm primarily on TikTok, which is at risk of getting banned. But no matter where I'm at, I will be __ Michael Barlow. That's what I am. Instagram, that's what I am. TikTok, I am considering YouTube. And then I've bought that domain, and that's what my school community is named, even though it's not launched. And so just shortly, if you're listening to this podcast a month later, you can probably go the Men's Support Network in school. You can find my community, and I'd love to see you there. I sure appreciate your time, Koina. You're awesome. You're an inspiration. I know a ton of people that look up to you, look forward to your content, look forward to your offers, and just love to hear from you. You're just a genuinely good person. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me about my goals and plans and thoughts.
I had to, like, you were one of the ones I sit down and made a list. I was like, I have to have him because I love what you're doing so much. And I really appreciate your kind words as well. I look up to you and I look up to others too. I love that we're able to go out there and make the impact that we're making. And I can't wait to see where this goes and where your business goes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm excited too. I'm super pumped about it. That's the drive keeping me going.
So is there any other final thoughts or a message that you would like to say say to our listeners?
I think the biggest thing that I like to share with people just in generally is that your passion matters. It matters in a lot of faces. If you felt like your childhood wasn't ideal, if you felt like you had to grow up too fast, if you feel like any of these things shortchanged maybe your authenticity and your opportunity to participate or share your passions in life, they always matter. And to just not hide them. And if you feel like you've lost them, make sure that you can add your passions to your life, whether it's your own personal interests, your personal gifts. So if you feel like you have a gift and it's like truly unique to you and you feel like you ought to share it, find bigger ways to share it and you'll feel more fulfilled in life. If there's things that you just love to do, and whether being a parent or an employee or something like that has limited or taken those away from you, what's a small way you could do it today? And when you are driven with your passion and your skills in life, then there's an innate drive that just keeps you going almost no matter what. So if you can tune into that, life feels so much happier and so much more fulfilled. And those are the kind of things that make your life feel unique and amazing. Life sometimes can feel really shallow and you wonder what it's about. What's the point? What am I doing? But when you really lean into your passions and learn to add them, even in small ways to your life, it makes a huge difference, no matter how small.
Thank you for tuning in to the Invisible Marketer podcast. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Michael. To get access to today's show notes and to see where you can go to follow Michael on his journey, head on over to invisiblemarketer.com/Michael. And as always, keep tuning in to discover even more strategies that are tailored to using your superpower of being an introvert to go out and make an impact. I will see you next time.